I think we can start. Good morning to everyone. Welcome to the invited talk by Mr. Stelios Bollanos with topic Earth observation-based information for the public and the private sector, today and the future. We'll start with a short welcome note and then we will proceed to the talk. The talk is already recorded, so please turn off your cameras and microphones, and we will allow questions only through the chat, and they will be answered after the talk. At this point, I would like to invite the project manager of the EXCELSIOR project, Dr. Stelios, for a welcome note.
Yeah, good morning to everybody. Thank you for joining us today to this talk. Today's talk is about Earth observation-based information for the public and the private sector, today and the future. This presentation is a part of a series of talks promoted by the EXCELSIOR project, where experts in the field of Earth observation share their knowledge. Today's invited speaker is Stelios Bollanos. Stelios is the director and co-founder of the Planetek Hellas, which provides solutions-oriented services in the field of geomatics, involving the use of Earth observation data and systems for environmental and critical infrastructure monitoring, urban planning, civil protection and security, and other topics. Planetek Hellas is a Greek space SME employing 25 high-qualified personnel. He has 17 years of experience in managing various accounts for customers, such as the European Space Agency, the EU Commission, the European Union Satellite Centre, SatCen, the European Environmental Agency, the Joint Research Centre, JRC, and other important customers at the national and international level. He has matured experiences in the business sector related to technology domains from satellite Earth observation, spatial data infrastructure, space astronomy data management, onboard and ground segment space software. He has a very good knowledge of the European and Greek space market and very good knowledge of Greek domestic demand for Earth observation applications. He is currently the vice chairman of the Hellenic Association of Space Industries and a board member of the Space Industries Cluster of Athens in Greece since 2015, and of the panel of the European Association of Space SME for Space since 2013. Stelios and I participated in the Copernicus User Forum, and he's a valuable member of the Earth observation community. We would like to welcome Stelios and thank him for joining us today, and look forward to his presentation. And of course, Stelios would like to see any future collaboration with EXCELSIOR. Stelios, the stage is yours. We're looking forward for your presentation.
Thank you very much, Kyriako, for the introduction. Thank you, Eleni, for organizing it, Maria, Diofande, for the invitation. It is a great pleasure to be with you. Unfortunately, we are doing it digitally. It would have been my utmost pleasure to be in Cyprus. Cyprus for me is a beloved place. I have very close friendship relationship with Cyprus, and I would have loved to be there. Unfortunately, we are still in the middle of the pandemic. Fortunately, we have these technological tools that give us the opportunity to be together, even though we are away. So, without further ado, I'll try to share a little bit, first of all, the presentation, and continue with it. I'd like to receive from you a confirmation that you are able to see the slide.
Yes, fine.
Excellent, excellent. So I am sure that I will not be able to say everything that the title might mean in this hour that I will be trying to share with you the knowledge that I have gained in these years and the things that I would like us to see together also in the future. But I think that is a good summary of. I think that I have put together a good summary with information that I can share with you for the rest of the hour. So initially, I will try to present you a little bit who we are in Planetek. It is a good opportunity to exchange some information for Excelsior people to know, in order also to build some potential future opportunities together, but also to share with you, as I said previously, some of the knowledge that I have gained in these 17 years about what is Earth observation able to provide as knowledge and as information, and at the same time where our market, where our ecosystem is heading towards. This is an objective that I have, and hopefully I will try to make it. So in Planetek, we're a space company. We do Earth observations since our very beginning, Earth observation application, and at the same time we have an important activity in designing and implementing and building space system software. So we do, apart from the Earth observation applications that I mentioned for security and environment, we do onboard payload data processing, we do software for space astronomy, we do systems for spatial data infrastructure, and of course we do also the part that is called that is referred to as midstream in the space domain, the satellite ground segment, and especially the mission operations center. But everything that I will share with you today will be related to the first and most important, I could add, the domain of activities in Planetek, that is the Earth observation application for environment and for security. In Planetek, we are a group of companies. Planetek started from Italy in Bari. Planetek Italia, which is a benefit corporation, is let's say the biggest company of the group. In Italy, in Planetek we have two spin-offs with two universities, ECoE and GAP from the University of Rome and the University of Bari, which are indicative also of the way we try to do business in Planetek. We work very closely with academia, and in this context, we don't lose the opportunity whenever there is one to work together and to combine forces, even legally, with university teams, and try to exploit business opportunities. And of course, Planetek Hellas in Athens since 2006. Some of you that have visited in the framework of their exchange activity in Planetek might recognize the offices the picture that I show here that are in Bari in Italy, and these are the offices, the new offices here in Athens. But as a summary, I could say that we were founded since 1994 in Italy, so almost 28 years now, almost a generation. In Greece, we started in 2006. In total, we are 100 people, 25 of them here in Athens and in the offices that I also am right now. We have an 8 million euro turnover. This is the projected turnover for 2021, but it was almost there even in the previous year, of which 1.6 million being produced here in Greece, in Athens. And it is important to mention that 12% of our annual activity, of our turnover, comes from R&D activities that we co-found ourselves in order to be kept innovative and competitive in our very fast growing and difficult market to compete. One other number important for Planetek is that, for Planetek Hellas specifically, not for the group, is that since our beginning, we have managed to raise more than 3.5 million euro in competitive funding. That has helped us maintain our competitivity and integrate innovation in our offer. This you might recognize, some of you, the Space Cluster of Athens, where we are based, and these are the offices that I'm speaking to you right now. We are a member of almost all the associations relative with space and Earth observation, so much in Greece, as much as in Italy and Europe. And we work together with every satellite provider, every satellite data provider that offers data in the market, everyone. There's no one that is missing. And I could say that our customers come from all the spectrum of the activity, so much in the public as much as in the private sector, but also supranational ones as the European Commission, the Joint Research Centre, the Environmental Agency, the European Environmental Agency, various institutions in Greece, Greece and Italy, various regional and central government institutions from the public side, but also every main representative of the Earth observation demand services, every important representative, I could say, of companies that demand Earth observation services. The first one that comes to my mind is ENI, the Italian petroleum company, but also other private companies such as Airbus, Thales, OHB, who are the main producers of space data services and products. In Planetek, our philosophy has always been to start our offer, to start our services, start building them from pilot solutions that are supported usually from various R&D programs, either in national or international level. And these products later on follow up on them and lead them to operational and tested solutions for real world customers. In the starting point, where I say about R&D and pilot solutions in this slide, is where our approach that I mentioned previously towards innovation brings into the picture the role, the importance of the role of the academia, of research centers. It is where exactly we are very much used, and a very important part of our competitivity today. It comes from this collaboration that we have with academia and research institutions, that is depicted in this part of the slide in the R&D and pilot solutions. Now, having said these few words about Planetek, I will try to give you a little bit the view of the market and what nowadays is offered to the users, either those those coming from the public sector or from the private sector. And I will give you, of course, some examples where definitely Planetek has specific track heritage and is offering these services. It would have been a totally different presentation, and it would have been a totally different environment if it wasn't for this huge global, because it's the biggest Earth observation program on the planet, Copernicus. I refer exactly to Copernicus. If it wasn't so for Copernicus, it would have been a different story, not only in Europe, I would say, but also throughout the globe as far as Earth observation is concerned. So definitely the point where we are today has been strongly impacted by Copernicus, has been strongly impacted by this huge investment of the European Union and of the member states that that has reached for the moment a total amount of almost 20 billion euro invested since the beginning of it, where the Baveno Manifesto was signed about more than 20 years ago, in 1998, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember well right now. So since 1998, Europe has invested these huge amounts in building the best Earth observation program in the world. And when I say it would have been something different, I refer exactly to the fact that this huge investment is provided totally free and open to whenever has the capacity, the legal capacity first of all, but also to whoever is interested to use Earth observation data and services. So this program Copernicus, I was saying that is freely and open as the data are concerned, meaning the satellites who provide, who produce and give to the wider public the data. It is one part of it who is freely and open, but what it is equally important is the fact also that the Commission has, the European Commission has invested very big amounts of money in building value-added services above these freely and open available products that are divided in 6 main thematic categories, those being land, marine, atmosphere, climate change, and emergency. Which in this way are categorized the services that the Copernicus product offers free and open to everyone, to every user interested, not only in Europe but around the globe, of course, with specific agreements that the Commission does in such cases. So all the services, the land, the marine, the atmosphere, and the climate are freely available to the public users, apart from the emergency, who is dedicated to specific users from the public authorities, that are the civil protection authorities, and the security, who is dedicated to authorities who have the mandate to operate such aspects. So, in a nutshell, if I try to, this is a good slide taken from the European Commission. So if I try to summarize whatever is being produced in the Earth observation related market, I would say that first, there is one of the strongest pillars, of course, is the Copernicus, the space and in situ data, those meaning the satellites that produce the data, and the in situ network of data production in order to validate the satellite data and to calibrate them. The second big pillar is the Copernicus services that I mentioned previously. And the third big pillar, of course, is where we also as Planetek and various and the academia enters, is the downstream services economy. I will not call it only Copernicus, because in this third pillar of services provision of the ecosystem is where we stand, where the so-called value-adding companies stand, and academia in many cases, is the domain where we take the data raw from the Copernicus from the Sentinels, from the Copernicus satellites, or the the so-called core services. I didn't mention this previously. The services provided by the entrusted entities are the core services, and we produce added value information based upon this data and services, but not only. It could be also data and services coming from other missions that are not related to Copernicus. So this is, let's say, the ecosystem of EO-based information, mostly, of course, in Europe, but that has a strong impact, Copernicus, as I said. And I will try now to give you some specific examples that are related to what I previously mentioned, part of the core services and part of downstream services that, of course, Planetek, as I mentioned, is contributing. One of the most important, let's say, services that we contribute, and one of the most important, in my personal opinion, value-added services of the Copernicus program is the related with the emergency service. So many times it is confusing the word service in Copernicus, because there are the core services and they are still mentioned services, and there are value-adding services which is somehow confusing. But when I will refer to the Copernicus service, I will use the word core, and when I will refer to downstream services, I will just try to separate it with the word downstream. So in the framework of the Copernicus emergency service, we in Planetek are doing the shifts for almost half the weeks of the year, where you might have heard we lived it the last summer very heavily, with a very negative impact in both our countries, Greece and Cyprus, but I would say also overall the Mediterranean area was heavily negatively impacted. The emergency service that is run by the Joint Research Centre of the European Commission, relying on a very robust industrial consortium, is accepting requests for activation whenever an emergency situation occurs, for example, a flood or a fire, and a mechanism that is composed by an industrial, as I said previously, very robust consortium of more than 20 European Earth observation companies, are doing the shifts in order to reply whenever, as I said, an emergency situation occurs. So we here in Planetek, we have 6 colleagues who are sharing these shifts for half the weeks of the year, and in the framework of the activation, we are obliged to provide to the user, which is the Civil Protection Authority of each member state, to provide specific products in order to monitor, first of all, to detect, and consequently to monitor the evolution of an emergency event. So in 4 hours, we have to give, for example, the first delineation map. If we have a fire, to understand where the fire is at the present moment within 4 hours, and then in 9 hours to give the various other products that are needed in order to monitor the event, and to help, of course, with the main objective, to help the competent authorities to program their response in order to diminish the risk of the same event. So this is the rapid mapping that I just presented to you, the rapid mapping component, but we also participate and to another important component of the same core service, the risk and recovery mapping, which is an activity, as the word says, that is targeted to help the competent authorities in order to calculate the risk before an emergency event and consequently and also the recovery actions that are needed in order to diminish the damage from such event. So we are running this activity since 2009, and we are in the framework contract since 2023. Another activity that is part of the core services of one of the 6 core services. I mentioned previously the emergency. I'm now going to another core service that is the land service. The land is entrusted to the European Environmental Agency, and for the land service, we have just delivered some months ago the coastal zones hotspot mapping product at very high resolution. This was a huge activity where more than 100 people were involved in different European countries, together with our partners from Geovil and Telespazio Iberica. And we produced for the European Environmental Agency this strip of very high resolution map based, of course, on NEO data. As part of the land service, which of course then the European Environmental Agency provides free and open to everyone that is interested in this domain. And I have here in the slide the link where somebody can just click in and go to the specific session and download this huge data set that is useful to many authorities around Europe, not only supranational ones, but also at the national and regional level. Another related activity, always for the environmental agency, is the so-called GIO land, which was something that the European Environmental Agency did and is continuously doing for monitoring the forests in Europe. We did some time ago for all Europe. We were participating in the consortium that provided this layer to the environmental agency regarding to the forest types regarding the types of the forests in Europe, if it was broadleaf or coniferous, and the forest density. And passing now to a different example in the domain of security. This is something we are doing for the European Union Satellite Centre, which is together with Frontex and EMSA, which are the entrusted entities to deliver the security service, the core security services of the European Commission's Copernicus program to the authorized end users. These end users being either the Ministry of Interior or the Ministry of Foreign Affairs or the Ministry. No, I said correctly. Ministry of Interior and Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So we are for the European Union Satellite Centre, in specific also Frontex. We are doing in very high resolution the outside borders of the European Union. So meaning borders with countries that are outside the European Union, for example, Turkey, for example, for Greece, Albania, and for SatCen, we are doing this activity with an important amount of the personnel that is now employed in Planetek Hellas and Planetek. And I'm happy to say here that this is a very, very, very competitive activity. We are leading this activity, and we have This is a closed competition, meaning that SatCen has chosen 5 providers from Europe. And only if I mention that the other 4 ones are Airbus, Aegeos, Indra, and EABG, you can understand by the maybe you don't know, but these companies are the smallest one is by minimum 10 times bigger than Planetek. So for us, it's an activity for which we are very proud for, and we it is somehow an important power that we get from it in order to continue being competitive in the wider environment. Another activity related to security is the support we provide always to SatCen. In this case, for the European Union external action, which is the European Union external action can be considered as, let's say, the Ministry of Interiors of the European Commission. So you can bring to mind for this institution the need that we have as a European Union for all our delegations that are outside the European Union. So, for example, an example of this service is consider a delegation that we have in Libya, when in Libya there were some difficult times. One example of service is the evacuation map. So this with this service, with this contract, let's say, the European Union Satellite Center provides to the European Union external action geospatial support for all the delegations that are outside the European Union. Now, I try to use some of my time to give these examples where we participate as Planetek in some of the core services, and I again want to underline the fact that all these services that I just presented and that we participate, it would have been impossible to go through all the core services and all the products that fall under the core Copernicus services, and this huge amount of products is also representative of the very big opportunities that lie within them for all the interested institutions. There is a huge amount of information provided for free based on Earth observation that for the moment still we are somehow lacking in the use of it, and whenever I have the opportunity I take it, and if there is somebody in the audience that comes from the public institutions, I would strongly advise to start learning, to start digging and trying to find the information that are relative to them, because there is a huge amount of value in Copernicus that is still not that much well exploited as it could be. And I tried to give with the previous slides some of our experience in this, and I repeat that it would have been impossible to mention everything that Copernicus does. So passing now to the more to services coming strictly from value adders, strictly from entities that are value adders, such as Planetek or such as an academia can be. I will try to give you some examples coming from our previous experience, of course, targeting mostly in this case public users, but also users from the private sector. In this case, I will start with some marine and coastal environmental information services that we started building the know-how in the context of European Space Agency programs. And this is a good opportunity to mention the very important role that the European Space Agency plays in building the capacity within the national ecosystem of a member state. And for us has been very important the support that we have received from the European Space Agency in order to build the know-how, to build the products that we later on provided to the real market, to the real users. If I could try to connect it with this important slide that I showed in the beginning. So this is the reference here is to an activity called the MarCost in the past that we developed the know-how in order to monitor via satellite, via Earth observation satellites, water quality indicators that are relative to the eutrophication risk, this being chlorophyll, this being water transparency, this being sea surface temperature. Then, to connect it with the previous one, we were able, by starting with the support of the European Space Agency in order to build the know-how, we were able to commercialize also related services for national markets. And in this case, I refer here to a service provision that we did for the decentralized administration of Epirus, where we monitored for a couple of years, we were monitoring the important eutrophication parameters in the coastal areas of Thesprotia. That in Thesprotia, apart from the touristic point of view importance that the marine waters have, Thesprotia is also the first provider of aquaculture products, of fishery aquaculture products in the Greek market. So it is also at the same time a very important industrial activity for which coastal and marine waters play an important role. So monitoring them is equally important. Again, for ESA in the past, we've grown know-how in monitoring algae blooms and for specific areas where this can happen. In this case, this is one in the Gulf, in the Arab Emirates, and this was also published in the Popular Science, and I choose this picture because we have it also in Planetek. So this just for I choose it just like a very nice picture, but the importance here is to understand that EO, Earth observation, can give a wider picture, which can mean which is differently, can give information which can differently be hard to have. In this case, we were monitoring the algae blooms because the desalination plants that they have in the coast of the Arab Emirates, the algae that grow very significantly when this phenomenon occurs, penetrates in the filters of the desalination plants and causes them an important damage. So by this, they were able to have initially the information and close these filters before the algae managed to penetrate and do the damage. Other important activities always in the marine domain is that can be that we have developed as a know-how and can be received from satellite-based information is the Posidonia seabed mapping. Posidonia is considered so much important for the marine environment as important are the forests for the land environment for the land. And there are regulations and laws, so much at European as much as a national level, that oblige the competent authorities to monitor and protect them. And mapping is, of course, one of the first tools that are needed in order to define the protected areas of Posidonia. And there's no better way for the moment. Better in the sense, not so much in the quality of the information provided, but in the extent of it, because of course, sophisticated technological means such as sonar that are used can definitely give a very good result. But being able to have 16,000 square kilometers of coastal areas, that is the area, the coastal extent of Greece, with sonar would be impossible. And in this case, satellite information provide a very good overview of the phenomenon of the monitored issue of the monitored aspect itself. Passing now to some other examples of downstream law enforcement services. This is something we are working now for ESA and together with Interpol. Thank you. I just had a very strong echo in my ears. That's why I stopped. So we're working in counterterrorism services provided for the European Space Agency, but no, supported by the European Space Agency, but provided to Interpol. This is an activity that we work together with other important companies the European context, but we are leading the terrorism and organized crime. I cannot unfortunately tell you much on this one, but I can just tell you that what we try to build here is the integration of crowdsourced information with Earth observation. Crowdsourced information meaning information that somebody can find in social media, somebody can find in newspapers, in digital newspapers, or in other means where information flows in the internet, and connect this and provide and try to provide a more wiser, let's say, trying to provide information in order for the decision maker to make wiser decisions. Another activity is about illegal cropping, and you can understand, everybody can understand what could be an illegal crop. We've been working here for the Greek police and the police in the Netherlands, trying to use both SAR and optical data in order to detect cannabis cultivations. Waste is also something, illegal waste activities is also something that EO can provide important information, and for this we have been investing the last 10 years in Planetek, so much for monitoring known waste sites in order to understand if they fulfill all the obligations that they have by law, so as much as to monitor and to detect sites that are unknown, and of course always illegal. Another activity in the same domain is monitoring the activity in protected areas. Consider Natura 2000, for example, that are very much known in Europe. In these areas, no building activity is permitted, definitely, or if it is permitted, there are specific terms. And in this domain, of course, EO can give a very good overall information, and fast and easy to receive. I'll try now to pass to some other example of downstream services, mainly for industry, as I say, but that are provided in a different way. What I tried to present previously were services, if I could use the word traditional, were services that in order for them to be produced, they required a project-based approach. Now I will speak to you about Reticus, which is Reticus is a geoinformation as a service platform. we consider the reticles are locomotive towards the global market. Reticus is a cloud-based platform which uses satellite data, open data, open or not, but mainly open, is continuously updated, and the final result that gives to the user, the final information, comes in the form of indicators, maps, and reports. So not that much the Earth observation data itself, the image, but what we consider to be the most important for it, the indicator, the map, and the report that helps, that are what the decision maker is, that are what the decision maker wants in order to make the call each time. And one other important characteristic of is that of our Reticus platform and of the services that we provide through Reticus is the fact that are subscription based, meaning that anyone who is interested can enter in a website, can log in, and can start using the service from where he is based, just by using his computer or and of course a network connection. For this, I have a video that I will show to you, which I believe that represents very well what I just tried to share. The video has also some. I'm sharing also the. So you will hear also some music. And this is exactly what I tried to present previously in words. And I will stop just for you to. I will stop the video here just to go ahead with the presentation. But it was an attempt to try and give you visually a description of what our Reticus platform is, and I will continue now with some more related information on it. We named it Reticus because you might know that Reticus was the only student of Copernicus, and in this case, we in Planetek want to show to the Reticus is a trademark of Planetek. We want to show, let's say, to the rest of the world the connection that our Reticus platform with Copernicus, the program of the European Union, has as Reticus, let's say, gave to the world the knowledge of his master. We also want to give to the world the knowledge of the Copernicus service, of the Copernicus program. And in this one, I'm very confident that you can understand much more than I do. One of the services of our Reticus, one of the most, let's say, important services of our Reticus platform is based on differential interferometry, and through which we use SAR data coming mostly from the Sentinel missions, from the Copernicus missions, but not only. Mostly, I say, because these data are provided operationally, and we are able to have every 7 days, every 6 point something days that we have a new acquisition of the Sentinels to have some important information of what should be on the ground stable, and instead it is moving, because this is exactly what differential interferometry is able to provide. So to provide the movement of phenomenically stable points on the ground. And this service is based on an algorithm that was developed, and this is also a good example of the successful relation we have with academia that I mentioned at the beginning. The algorithm was developed by GAP, our connected company, is called Spinua. And we have made all the engineering work that is needed in order to put this algorithm in the proper environment and start producing this valuable information that finds application in various fields, such as urban planning, monitoring tunnels and subway, oil and gas communities, of course, in need of such information, monitoring roads and railways, mining, dams, insurance, and water networks are some of the application fields where our services that we provide through Reticus are needed. I'll give you now some specific examples on one of our versions of Reticus that we name Safeway, and that's the word it says refers. Somebody can understand that it is related to monitoring road networks or railways networks, and in this case, this is an example of the specific information that is provided through the platform. You know, most of you for sure know these permanent scatters, these points, in this case you see some green dots on the background, provide the information, in this case from 5 January 2015 to the 5th of April 2016. And in this way, by having the information of each measured point, you get the analytical report of the displacement trend, the velocity, and the acceleration of the measured points for the entire monitoring period. And somebody is able to maintain, who is responsible, is able to maintain safe and efficient the structures and predict, not so much predict, but let's say be more informed about the status of each of the network in order to prevent potential problems that can have an important economic damage or even claim lives. This is let's say a screenshot of the service itself provided for railways monitoring, and in the specific points that are let's say more that are red in this case. The information is provided where can ring a bell on the competent person to go and check. By giving to the platform itself some threshold, you can somebody can categorize the level of alarm that he needs to receive, depending on how much specific points are moved, and then by having this information can better organize the work of self-inspections. One other instance, one other let's say personalization of our Reticus service is the network alert type, which is targeting the owners of sewage and water network pipelines, which of course also this category of users are very much interested in having potential information in order to predict possible problems that can damage their network of pipes that are always or in most of the cases, especially within cities, are underground. This type of information gives them a good hint of where problems could be, where could leakages be taking place, and by categorizing the level of movement, of displacement throughout their network area, they can, of course, program better their maintenance activities. And as I was saying before, by giving a specific threshold to the numbers of this PS hub, they can target better where to go first, for example. And here also there is a very good video that I have, which I will also share in order also for me to make a short break. And this is representative of the Reticus network alert that I was showing previously.
Utilities companies spend a lot of money maintaining their networks and fighting against structural problems. European utility companies generally face costs per repair ranging between 2.5 and 5,000 euros per kilometer.
ERA is now among the nation's largest multi-utilities, working mainly in the environment, water and energy sectors. With almost 9,000 employees, the ERA Group meets the needs of 4.4 million citizens in over 350 municipalities in Emilia-Romagna, Friuli-Venezia Giulia, Marche, Tuscany and Veneto. We supply 291 million of square meters per year of water through 34,900 kilometers of water pipelines, and we manage a network of 14,800 kilometers of sewage pipelines.
ERA needed to reduce the costs related to the maintenance of its sewer system.
Ground motion of only a few centimeters around buried pipelines can cause leaks in the pipes. These leaks can then accelerate the erosion around the problem area, disrupting service and possibly creating larger problems. ERA had been searching for a method to better understand the scenario of ground surface movements caused by the structural defect of its collector.
With Reticus Network Alert being powered by Map Enterprise, we can discover subsidence and ground movements through satellite monitoring before they become critical.
The data is automatically refreshed each month, providing up-to-date information. This data can provide changes in the ground level with millimeter accuracy.
Map Enterprise allows us to combine the results of radar satellite interferometry with many other field data, thus improving the effectiveness of inspections by 40%.
Hexagon solution simplifies the integration of this data.
The highly visual dashboard provides extremely intuitive indicators.
This allows us to target inspections, manage priorities, and possibly prevent the most serious damages in our network.
It is such a flexible tool that we can also integrate machine learning algorithms and connect them in the sequence of processes that are automatically launched every month to update the data in the dashboard. The results of this machine learning will yield results more and more reliable and useful for identifying in advance the problems in sewage pipelines.
The availability of fresh information on ground, buildings and infrastructure stability in an easy-to-use dynamic dashboard ensures timely and informed decisions on the management of our valuable infrastructure.
Hexagon technology plays a fundamental role in enabling the big data management and analysis.
Instead of spending time analyzing data, we can focus on inspecting and fixing problems before they become disasters, saving money and...
So this was, I think you got the main point of this video. And after having given, or at least having tried to give you a view of services coming from the so-called core services or the Copernicus services that are provided free and openly to the environment, to the public, to the ecosystem, to the public and the private users. After having given you some examples of value-adding services provided by companies such as us, provided so much for the public sector as much for the private. I will try now to share some words and some thoughts about where we think, where personally and where we think as Planetek is heading the EO-based information and the EO-based and the EO-related market. So I'll start by this line of a retired American military person who writes, "We are swimming in sensors and drowning in data." And if you consider a bit the amount of information that is nowadays produced, not only space-based information, so not only information coming from Earth observation and other satellites, but also information that are produced on the ground, who are continuously, exponentially growing in volume, in velocity, and in variety. In volume, too much information; velocity, too much information produced very frequently; and in variety, too much information from many sources and in all the domains. Give a little bit the idea, or frame a little bit the picture of the amount of data that we are invited to manage nowadays, and with a clearly exponentially growing trend in the amount of this data. So, going back a little bit on the past, in the last 40 years, since where Earth observation has started to become also commercial activity, there was a clear separation between the upstream and the downstream activities. So the upstream activities, we used to send into space whatever we could produce. So it was mostly a technology push approach, which in the best of the cases was driven, if it was somehow driven by a user, was in the best of the cases driven by the demand of the militaries. So the approach this was to receive the data from a satellite who was orbiting the Earth through an acquisition station, and through a data distributor go to a value-added provider that could have been us, or could have been a representative of the ecosystem, either a different industry or academia, and then with the proper elaboration to provide this data to the final user. Now, this let's say traditional approach has significantly been impacted by new space. Lately, we see constellations, very big constellations of small satellites, up to CubeSat, up to the measure of CubeSats, or some U's that have significantly increased the capacity in orbit, which at the same time provides some very good solutions as far as the observation power of this let's say new satellites that go into orbit is concerned. So the new space approach, this big amount of new satellites being sent to orbit with different and payloads that are able with much less need in testing procedures or if I put in the picture also the activities lately going on in the United States about the reusable rockets have diminished very much the time from the design to in orbit phase, and is something that will continuously grow exponentially in the coming years. If we put into the picture also this huge amount of data that are provided fully and openly by a Copernicus program, referring to here to the Sentinel satellites, but also to the contributing missions. And if we add to that also the services components that are still provided free and open, we have some other factors that are the most representative ones of the change of this canvas of important factors of the EO ecosystem nowadays. At the same time, smart sensors and platforms itself are not only they are growing in numbers, but they are also becoming smarter. Sensors, if I bring into the discussion keywords as compressive sensing, as quantum imaging, are new capabilities that give to the sensors a broader ability to provide information. Platform itself, platform also at the same time equipped with multi-core CPUs, with GPUs, with graphic processing units, with high performance, with FPGAs, and other technological, let's say, advancements of nowadays, continue to increase the level of information that can be derived from space. Another important factor that is significantly impacting where we stand nowadays is, of course, artificial intelligence. I think there's no, it's something that we hear every day in everyone who is trying to let's say to do things better, to do things in a more cost-effective way, is obliged to analyze and to investigate in artificial intelligence and what all these tools could provide to him in order to do to increase the value of the EO-based information. So artificial intelligence is impacting all the nodes of the processing chain of the EO information, from the acquisition to pre-processing, to processing, and to the final data fusion with other type of information, this is also a very important one. Something that is this additional factor that I tried to bring into your attention in order to reach out to the conclusion that all these factors that I mentioned previously, artificial intelligence, new space, Copernicus with all that amount of information provided free and open, are changing the paradigm, are leading towards a paradigm shift, towards a change to the business model. I gave you many examples in the beginning of services provided in the traditional base, in the traditional way, in a way that is a project-based, so to say, approach. So starting from the acquisition of the data, having an infrastructure somewhere, producing the service and providing this service to the final users, which is considered a Capex approach, a capital expenditure approach, to a so-called an operational expenditure approach that is mostly what I try to present with a Retico service, a cloud-based platform that produce indicators, that produce maps, report, and alerts. Of course, they are based on satellite-derived information, but let's say we are having let's say, a new directions towards what we in Planetek have tried to catch with our Reticus platform. And this is an example that I mentioned you previously. So in other words, where we stand right now and what we consider an important way of providing EO-based information is the platform-based approach. So starting from the satellite data, either being Copernicus or different, processing them in the needed high-performance computing capacity, and finally providing to the final user the information that is the most important for him, not the map, not the image itself, but sorry to repeat myself, but this is at the end what it is, the chart, the diagram, which helps the decision maker to make the call. As I gave you some examples, and as it is one of our instance of Reticus, the safe way. So, in a nutshell, what I described as far as the first, you see in this diagram three life cycles, as they are called by us, the economists. The first, the blue, the green, and the red one. The blue represents the EO services provided in the traditional way, and there is a line, an horizontal line where it says where we are. This line here, and it means this is where we are in time right now. So this first here, I hope you can see my screen. This first here life cycle, we considered in Planetek to be the traditional way of providing EO-based services, the project-based one. The second one is the information as a service life cycle, which is now gaining momentum and is now maturing enough so as to provide robust services, robust solution, exactly because there are also the technological means. There is now the high performance computing that it was not here, let's say 10 years ago. This is a clear shift from, this represents exactly what I was mentioning previously, the shift from the Capex model to the OPEX, to the operational expenditure model. And it is something that is continuously growing. But I used this slide also to share some last words about this third S, this third life cycle that we in Planetek call SpaceStream, and we have also a specific business unit named SpaceStream, that for us represents where the EO services will be in the next 10 years. SpaceStream is a way of providing EO-based services from the satellite directly from the satellite to the user itself. And I will give you an example for this. An example of us that we do in Planetek. This is something that we have initiated with European Space Agency, and we call it Space Edge. Space Edge is an end-to-end system for provision of EO-based services that is based on the Ion carrier. The Ion carrier is a satellite that you can think of it in the measure of a refrigerator that is able to carry up to 16 different CubeSats and deliver them into specific orbit. So in order for the CubeSat, when it is finally delivered to specific orbit, to have the power to move and correct its orbit according to according to his need, and in this way extend his life. So we in Planetek are building in Space Age this end-to-end system, the framework that will give the ability for a user to install a specific procedure on the satellite that is already in orbit, its target is of the procedure to do specific processing, such as detection, such as classification, fusion with different type of data, while it being still in orbit. We are used to having satellites built on the ground and operate them in orbit. When the satellite is sent in orbit, not that many things can happen till now. But what we are targeting with Space Age and what we think where the EO-based information is going through is what I said before, and I'm repeating it, the moment where the user will be able from the satellite directly to have the information that is needed. And I'll give you an example. Consider a forest fire, let's say, scenario. Space Age will give the ability to the user to select one of each of the CubeSat that are in orbit within this carrier, upload the specific algorithm, a specific procedure that on the payload of the satellite is able to do some tasks that are related, of course, to this application scenario. In orbit processing, in order to provide the geoanalytics of a specific area and show to the user the information that give not the image of a specific area, but only the area that is being burned at that specific point of time. So if you consider trying to say the same things, what I just described from a different perspective, if you consider the traditional way of building, of sending into orbit a satellite who's doing specific things, the way of facing the issue is to start from phase A-B, where you usually do a feasibility study. You analyze the application scenario, you select the algorithms, then you go to the detailed design, then you go to the satellite production and test. You test, you do a lot of tests as far as our environment is concerned, and then you go to launching and operations. And then you start having the information. What I just tried to describe you and what we are investing, fortunately with support of ESA too, is Space Age, is a Space Age where all these phases are considered intermediate and can be integrated within Space Age. So from the idea of wanting to do something in space, you can go directly to the in-orbit validation and in-orbit demonstration of your algorithm. This is Space Age, and this is where we believe in Planetek that the next generation, let's say, the future of EO-based information is going. This is a very good slide that I was only since yesterday able to share with you, because it's something that represents very well what I try to describe to you. And it was used yesterday. Yesterday, you might know that some of you might have the opportunity, might have had the opportunity to follow. There is in ESA the Phi Lab, the Phi Week, and we were very happy to see the Director General to present this slide, where the space stream is well depicted. And announcing, let's say, his initiative, the initiative of ESA DGs, to work towards a new program in ESA that will try to let's say, to give the proper environment so as space stream initiatives to flourish. And finally, I would like also to give some indications of the market itself for everyone needed, and also because these are very optimistic numbers that give an impression that the future of Earth observation is bright in Europe. So it was published only last week. So this is very fresh data from the Earth, from the European Association of Remote Sensing Company, their annual survey, which this year gave some very important results, some very good result as far as the growth of the sector as far as the growth of the sector in Europe is seen. So there was a 24% growth in companies in Europe in Earth observation. There was a 17% growth in the employees, so from 9,800 to 11,600 in the last year. A 24% growth in revenues. And it is important to say that this 10% growth that has happened is seen steadily since the last 15 years in the sector. And these are some numbers which are showing which are showing with greater detail this important increase in the employees of the sector that have reached, as we said, that have reached almost 12,000 employees in Europe as far as the Earth observation of course application is concerned, and the number of the companies that show a continuous growth of the market itself. So some as a final slide, reaching to an end, some takeaway messages that I would like you to note. First of all, Earth observation is an excellent enabler of wiser decision making, and we see this with the activities related with the core services in Copernicus. We see civil protection authorities making wiser decisions, and by these wiser decisions, they are in position to either save lives or diminish financial damages. Secondly, Copernicus is a huge investment, which is there to be exploited freely and openly. With Kyriakos, we have been in the Copernicus User Forum the last years, and we know that there is still some gap to be covered in order for this huge value to be exploited in a better way, because we're still not there. But definitely anyone interested should try to dig, should try to find the right information, because there's a lot of free and open information that can change his everyday job. Artificial intelligence and cloud computing, a game-changing factor for Earth observation. Fortunately, we have also important institutions such as the European Space Agency, who is also understanding this, and it seems that they are committed to invest in this domain, so as to help all the innovators around Europe with their relative investment. And it is here important to mention that the role of ESA is that of the excellent enabler for the national Earth observation ecosystem, industry and academia. Cyprus is the last years connected state to the European Space Agency, so it is in the procedure of being a full member state, and I wish and I hope that very soon this will happen, because exactly everyone that is working in the domain can have important support from ESA, as it has been the chance for Greece, and that has been the chance for many other European, from many other states member of ESA. And last but not least, definitely, Earth observation is a fast-growing market with big opportunities for everyone involved. I know many of you are in the early stage of your research career or industrial careers. That remains to be seen. But definitely be sure that you are engaging in one of the very, very few sectors with these growth percentages in Europe. If you consider the medium growth percentages of Europe that are considered anemic, so we are growing by 0 point something, 1%, 2%. Earth observation has constantly double digits of growth, and this is something that you can hardly find in the market nowadays, and this is something that it is a very good pushing power for everyone who is thinking or who is not still absolute 100% convinced that should follow this career path. And with this, I'd like to thank you very much and apologize if I somehow also extended the time that surpassed the time that the organizers had given to me.
Thank you, Mr. Bollanos, for this interesting presentation. I'm sure we got a lot of information. Are there any questions? If so, please write your questions in the chat box. Let's give some few seconds. Seems like everything was clear. Great presentation from Dr. Galdiz. I think we can, yeah, great presentation. Thank you for your time and the interesting talk. Yeah, I think there are no questions. Also from my side, thank you very much for accepting our invitation and for the presentation today. And also thank you to all the participants for joining us. We will be sharing the recorded video with you later on today or tomorrow, and we will be informing you about our upcoming invited talks via email. Thank you all for joining us and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you.